And we're live.
Hello, hello. Ah, there are the people.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Wonderful. So, let's check our audio. Mario, say something.
Say something. I'm saying something. Can you hear me saying something?
Yeah, that's good. Alfred, next.
There is some text on the screen that I'm reading or not. I hope you can hear this.
Super. So, well, I think we are ready. All right. Mute your phones. Oh my god.
Yep.
I completely did not do this.
I have it on.
How many are turned on? Okay, hopefully only two. Mute your phones. Mute your keyboards. I wonder if a mechanical keyboard would have a silent mode for YouTubing.
Right.
With a mechanical thing that just goes click and disables all the clicks.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, I don't think that will happen.
Okay, I have to make one more joke. There is the nerd buying a $200 mechanical keyboard and then buying $400 noise cancelling headphones.
Oh man, that's me.
Okay, silence. 5 seconds, please. Hello and welcome to the Ubuntu Touch Q&A number 120. What a nice round number we have today. Discussing the development of Ubuntu Touch and answering or trying to answer questions from our community. We're doing this now not every 14 days, not once a month, but just when we want to. So this week it's again. We wanted to do a Q&A and here we are. Joining me this week are Marius.
Hello.
And Alfred.
Hey.
Super. Okay, we have a really packed agenda for today. And yeah, when we were writing those notes, I was thinking it's crazy. We have also a ton of questions. So try to keep it a little bit, how to say, not short, but not let's elaborate on everything into every detail, so that we get a little bit of time at the end for these lots of questions. So we start always with some news from our development and what's going on in the various developer groups and sections and stuff. Yeah. First and foremost, there is a wonderful announcement for a new device. And I know we have a ton of devices already installed, but this one will be again special. The Fairphone 4 will be officially supported by Fairphone. So, the Fairphone 4, here it is, already on my table. And I guess we already teased it a bit last time. Did we? I don't remember.
I did on Twitter a tiny little bit.
It's running really well already. It has a notch. Oh my god. And it has huge round corners. We have to work with that a bit. So, what is the deal? The deal is that Fairphone will actually put that device into their shop when they deem it ready to go into the shop. So we need to do still a lot of work to get it a first-class citizen. Things should work. They will QA it. They will have their own QA process, as I understood. And before it doesn't go to the store, because they want to have a good, well-working phone. But yes, so there is no timeline for this, but please be excited about it, and we will try to work hard to get this done. Yeah, why is this so great? So it has 5G. It has two variants. I think one is 6 GB and 128 SD card, and the other one is 8 GB and 256 GB
Yes.
SD card. It has eSIM, which we also don't support yet, but this is also some challenge we have accepted already. So you could then have eSIM on the second SIM slot. What else does it have? It has multi-cameras, 2 of them, Wide Angel and a normal one. We talk about this in a few. Yeah, that's the Fairphone 4. You can Google it, you can dig it. It's nice that we have another Fairphone officially supported. Yeah. And it's, oh, I forgot, and it's Halium 11. So we're moving from 9 to 10 to 11, quite speedy. The bring up for the device was not that much of a deal, actually. So Alfred, I think, with the base work that was already done, we polished it in 1 week, basically.
Exactly, yes.
Yes. And that's really fast. Of course, some things are still not working as expected, like volume control and these small thingies. But we have already our sponsor testing this out and is very satisfied. And, oh, I forgot. And the Fairphone has a USB-C display out. And you can connect it and work in convergence with a monster of 8 gigs. This is your new laptop, guys. You don't need anything else. It just works. We just connected it and it was amazing. Okay, did I forget anything? It has no headphone jack. So, unfortunately, no headphones. And it has no notification LED. No
Well,
notification
you can have
LED.
headphones, technically.
Yes, yes. You can also
You need an
have...
adapter.
Ah, yes. You can have that thingy here, which was actually coming with it from the French version. USB-C headphones. You connect it, they don't work. So we have to work on that as well. Next challenge accepted. The Fairphone 4 will have so many challenges for us that we have to solve that, yeah.
And one thing I will talk about later that also will come in play to this device.
Be excited, guys. Yeah.
So stay tuned. Is there any... Yeah, and for this to work, the installer will have a new release because the current installer cannot install Halium 11 devices. But we have already basically merged everything. There will be a new installer release. So when we actually put that up, and I think we will do it quite soon, everybody can already install it. Yeah. It has OTA updates. It's really, really cool. So that's, I think, the big news for the beginning. Now we spoiled everyone. Let's continue. 1604 news. Good old Xenial. What do we have?
Yes, we do have a bunch of very big improvements. We can't even stress it enough how many changes are going in right now into the Xenial base. There is, for example, the Qt Web Engine upgraded to 5.15.10, which means a newer Chromium base, I believe 87?
87, yeah.
Yeah, Chromium 87 base, so that your I noticed it immediately on Twitter. The top bar is now blurred. It looks nicer. So a few website changes are coming along here. We also have, and Florian has done an amazing job here, fingerprint unlocking improvements, so that the fingerprint unlocking does not fail like in irregular intervals. Like, yeah.
The story of that is that if it fails to read a fingerprint, it should wait a few milliseconds at least until it reads the next one. Yeah? It was going like read, locked. Yeah? And you didn't even move your finger off to make a second read. What I actually mean is I'm going to put my finger on the back side, like this. And then when you touch that thing, hello, where's my double tap to wake? It unlocks. And we can, when it works, sometimes, and it unlocks. And you can do this now with every phone forever. It just works.
Right.
So now the fingerprint reader is actually usable. Before it was like, nice, but I have to enter my PIN every 5 times or so. Yeah.
Right. So that one is now in. We have various improvements to the Pixel 3a again. For example, audio and video desynchronization in recorded video should be fixed now. We also have ADB authorization prompts now. When you use developer mode and you plug in the device, you need to unlock it first and actually specifically and intentionally enable it in a dialogue now, so that your phone still is quote unquote more secure, because in developer mode you can actually enter the device pretty easily using ADB from your computer. So that should be better now. And the big ones for me personally, the performance improvements that have gone into Xennial, and also for Focal, they have been proposed for Focal too. So the point was to reach a more sustained performance level, so that, for example, in WebGL demos, in various demos, it was jumping between 40 and 60 frames per second. Now it stays locked at 50 frames per second on the Pixel 3a. And does a pretty good job. It also works around driver issues that were not caught by the driver vendors, it seems. For example, when a new frame is supposed to be shown on the screen, it was not doing the weighting properly, so it looked like it would flicker, or it actually flickered. It also caused the whole compositor to flicker, which was very odd to me, but I fixed it. And those configuration switches are actually settable in lib device info configurations. So please, if your port has issues, bug the porter about it to tweak their configurations. We have documentation about it now. Thanks to Alexander for that. And yeah, things are going very nicely now. We also have a little bit of performance improvements with the blurred drawer in Lomiri. So when the port has the blurred drawer enabled, for example, maybe you can see it here, maybe not. It's, well, that's shiny, but you can see through it. We have shown it in the past, and those things actually have much better performance now overall as well. They don't overdraw anymore as much. They use a timer-based approach to redraw the blurred content. And we leave a little bit more room for the applications and the shell to render other things, right? So those are bigger things regarding performance. We also have a little bit of EtherCast improvements. So the full HD 60 frames per second option is now enabled. It shouldn't flicker as much anymore. It shouldn't flicker black here and then again as much as it used to. And yeah, improving the EtherCast story is one of my personal goals, or was one of my personal goals for this OTA cycle as well. So I'm glad that it reached this level. It's still not perfect depending on what monitor you connect it to. So if it's a 16 by 10 screen, it's not as perfect, because the assumption is that there are 16 by 9 screens connected to it, to the dongle. And yeah, we will basically have to tweak a little bit with the libraries that compose the EtherCast product, quote unquote, the EtherCast program. We probably need to change a few things here and there in the lower levels too. And it seems like Florian wants to mention a little bit about Bluetooth too, it seems.
Yes. So thanks to Mario's branch from almost 2 years ago or so, I took the opportunity, because I was a little bit fed up with the condition of pairing, and I cannot pair my car kit from the car that I normally borrow when I need it, and so on and so on. There was a lot of frustration with certain behavior of our Bluetooth stack, which was very old. I tried to rebase on the latest Blues stack from Focal into Xennial, and it just works. It was a little bit of messing with a few patches, but ultimately we got a green build, we installed it, it seems to work. I gave it again to our sponsor who tested it with, I think, 5 or 6 different Bluetooth gadgets that didn't work before, and they all work now. And this is latest Sony headset, super expensive, Bose stuff, loudspeakers, headphones, headsets. It just works. So with that, I must say we will be able to unlock at least some more devices for Bluetooth, and hopefully increase the stability of pairing and reconnecting and all of that stuff. Yeah.
Is this newer than my original patch?
No, it's the 553, which is focal, equal to focal, what's there. Yeah. And I think you mentioned that you made actually 2 branches, and it was the younger one that I took. The first one was a little bit lower than 553, I don't know, but yeah.
Makes me wonder why we haven't merged it before.
I don't know why we didn't merge it. We're just lazy bastards. Sometimes, forgive us. Sometimes it just needs the last 10% are the most effort of everything. Yeah? And that's also great because security-wise, we merged a few CVEs on the old one, but it's always cumbersome to get this going. And Bluetooth is a network technology, so we want to have as much possible updates there as we can get. So that will not fix actually the current problem with calls on Bluetooth headsets. That doesn't affect all devices, by the way, because at least my Pixel 2, it works. It doesn't work on anything else that I tested so far. I'm confused. We need to fix that. We have reports from the community, unfortunately, that a lot of car kits and Bluetooth headsets don't work anymore since OTA 23. And guess what? We didn't change anything except upgrading Blue Binder, which was necessary due to other reasons, like a huge waste of battery, crashing, problems with RF kill, and so on. So we updated Blue Binder to latest upstream. It might or might not contribute. We don't know. Okay, next one. Double tap to wake. I don't know if we talked about this last time. I already showed this before, and it doesn't work again. Click, click, hello, click, click. Oh, did I turn it off again?
You need to enable it.
Yes. So basically the idea is supported devices, you can wake them up with a click. You have that wonderful, let me tune down the brightness again, and it's again too bright for that thing focus. There is gestures. Can you see it? This nice icon with these 2 fingers. A new category in the system settings, and it's basically telling you that you have tap to wake, double tap anywhere on the screen to wake device. You can switch it on and off, and it's on. There could be more depending on what your device supports. Hello. Damn it. Okay, we don't talk about double tap to wake anymore. No, it worked before when I shot the fingerprint. I don't know what it's doing now.
But that's weird. It has always worked for me. I have never had problem with it.
Look, Alfred, what he's doing.
Alfred to the rescue.
Yeah. So it's, for example, on the Pixel 3a, on the Shift 6MQ, even on the old OnePlus One, it works. And should I mention that we are secretly working on a Halium 9 port of the OnePlus One? And that already is, well, not so secret, but it seems to be actually quite far progressed already. This is something where I also want to thank Muhammad for all his work he's putting into this, because it will be the first 32-bit core device kinda with Halium 9. And it's, of course, a mess in some places. But anyway, so it works on supported devices. It's a hardware feature. Not all devices can have it. Exchange of context syncs plugin. Thanks to Alberto Mardigan, finally, we will be able to rip out the old context sync and replace it with a new one, and that hopefully will bring us into Nextcloud context sync, which we also want to have since 3 or 4 years, or even 5 years, I don't know. That's a huge endeavor. We are ripping out a lot of parts. So if we break Devil, bear with us, we will repair it again, but it will happen in the next days. On Devil channel, the new context syncs will go live. That doesn't mean that immediately the Nextcloud context sync works. It's just preparing all the necessary things before. Messaging app will get small MMS and SMS improvements. The Shift 6MQ, as showed before, gets an RC and stable channel. Welcome all the users. We are quite fine with it. we can move it on. And now OTR 24 is still delayed to the blocking items already mentioned, the loss of Bluetooth telephony. And sometimes we are losing overlays for the newer devices when you have Halium 10, 11, or when using generic images. Somehow we have to work on not losing overlay files on updates. So no ETA for OTR 24.
In short, it breaks devices after upgrades. The JingPad is one of those devices that needs the treatment. So I really hope that we can fix this as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Right.
We have to focus on this for the next 1 or 2 weeks, but there will be intermediate RCs coming. So one RC is already out for OTR 24. That was the first batch of things that we finished. So you can start testing on RC a little bit already. The next RC might be not next week because I will be out of town, but in 2 weeks. And then there will be all the other things that we mentioned now will be inside there already. So Marius is showing a white device screen.
Yeah, it's the shift that we were talking about.
Yes, and you can light
it
your
works
face.
really well. I have been using it as my daily driver for a little while. So
very good. So there is one question regarding this. What is the phone you UbiBoys use for development and testing? Oh no, you don't want the answer on that. I like
what
this.
I have at my table. This is what I have at my table.
You have already a basket for them. I don't have a basket. It's unvisible.
Well, this is just one of the baskets. I have 3 baskets. I have 3 baskets.
So,
and I also have this, like, a bunch of SIM cards. Like, just
yeah. I need more SIM cards now too, because I want to have one SIM card for testing on the Fairphone 4. I have my regular normal SIM card, and I need another one for these Bluetooth issues. I'm constantly swapping around SIMs, and hopefully break the only one that I have for testing soon. Where is my Pixel 2 actually? Oh, here. No, that's a Fairphone 2. Damn it.
I have a dirty secret. I always use my daily driver as my development device. So
of course.
I always get like, I can never call you. Yeah, but that's because it's I broke radio on it. Sorry, I will call you back when I'm done fixing whatever I'm doing.
Oh, yes. And then you have this feeling when you upgrade to latest level in the subway, for example, because I think it's good time to upgrade my device. And then it boots, and then it suddenly reboots. And I think, oh no, I'm not home unless in 4 hours. I cannot fix my phone, and I will miss certainly important communication. But mostly second reboot is fine then, yeah. Great. So let's move on. 2004. Now it's time to shine.
So this is my area. 2004 is moving quite fast too, but I will go over more of the overview because there has been a lot of smaller changes. And if you want to go into the nitty-gritty, I recommend you checking out the GitLab board that we have on that. So I will start with the basic. We are now one thing away from what we will call the core development release, which is a release that we will do for a kind of technical preview type deal, where most of the hardware stuff will work. I think we have everything now except GPS working, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe not NFC yet too, but at least all the basic blocks like telephony and Bluetooth it's now works, but that's still in a PR. We have all basics of like Wi-Fi, screen is working, hardware acceleration, and all that. So right now it is in a state where you can actually use it like normal. The only thing that's really missing is an app store, and also installing of clicks and stuff like that. It's still a bit flaky still. But other than that, the base of it is starting to come together. Everything now, you can see the bricks falling together now. But also what we can say now that the core is starting to mature, we are getting much closer to a release. Since, to be honest, the core has been the hardest part, porting all those, renaming all those repositories as we have done. Everything is now called Lumiri, There's no more. It's not named Ubuntu or Unity 8 or Canonical anymore. Everything is branded under Lumeria, so it can move to different distributions too, get more contributions outside of Ubuntu Touch, which again will improve on Ubuntu Touch. And I will also like to invite people to actually try out Focal if you have a spare device, or you know how to unbrick your device when stuff breaks, because it is still very in bleeding edge. But I would like to have like a opinion on it, try to see if stuff breaks, see what's not working, see what's working, and generally just test it out. And also, please, you can notice the speed improvements actually, because app starts a lot faster. I would say the phone boots a lot faster too, but keep in mind there are still pieces missing, so it's not anywhere ready for any daily driving. I have been daily driving it, but it's really painful because you have to manually compile all the apps you want for it. So, but other than that, it works okay. Focal is not an Edge channel. That's a question. Focal, you need to open installer and you need to go into option and enable hidden channels, and then we'll find it pop up as a 2004 branch.
Oh, that's really nice. So yeah, we are slowly getting excited, I would say, to see the final outcome of all of that hard work.
Yeah, and the thing now is that you will start actually seeing changes, because before we were working at the base, and for the user you couldn't really see what's going on without being a developer and seeing all the packages go in. But now you can see the pieces coming together because it is starting to come together. Yeah.
All right. And we will have some questions about this, so we will touch that topic again in a few minutes.
Yep.
Laboratory experiment. That was, I think, the category name you found last time, Alfred, right?
Yeah,
From
right.
the laboratory. Laboratory means what we are playing around with, tinkering, fiddling, getting frustrated about, and what is not ready to be shipped yet. And yeah, there is actually a few things. So the multi-camera support, what I just mentioned before, is because Fairphone 4, Fairphone 2 has 4 cameras. Yes, but believe me, Fairphone 4 has 2 cameras, and this third thing is not a camera. Thanks, Luca, again, to remind me of that. I was pitching this thing with 3 cameras already because I didn't notice that this is a kind of a depth sensor for helping focus. So 2 cameras plus focus sensor, and we want to support this. And it seems to be that we have all the parts in place for multi-camera support. So you can switch during camera operation. You can switch between multiple cameras by just telling from the camera app to our middleware Qt Ubuntu camera, please select other camera. So thanks to Martin Kosup, there is already a branch for that where we can test it. It seems to work. But we need to polish it, because if you select a camera that's invalid for some reason, it just crashes and everything goes down the sink. Yeah. And Android seems to report sometimes fake cameras and cameras that are not really working. Yeah, but a few devices we have. I think we have the OnePlus 5 has also 2 cameras, or at least the 5T.
Shift phone has.
Yeah, that's actually what I believed until Alex told me back, no, don't use anything else than camera 0 and 1. The other thing is just a bokeh helper. So that's also not a camera. I mean, it makes a picture, but it looks weird. I looked at it today already. This device reports 6 cameras. What is nice, the front camera is a normal one and a mirrored one. So if you don't like your participant in a video call to see you flipped or so, you can turn you around yourself by just changing the camera. That's a feature. So, camera support. Yeah. By the way, I have to pitch again something for the Fairphone 4. It has 48 megapixel sensor. It's actually not outputting all of them by default. I think it's divided by 4 or so. But imagine what you can do with 48 megapixels. That thing will have really cool pictures. Okay, next one.
Okay, so this is a bit from my laboratory, and I think it's something that we have been waiting on for a long time. And drum roll, please. This VoLTE. I have gotten VoLTE to work. I have both sent SMS in and out and got incoming and outgoing call on VoLTE. Even though with a lot of hacking, it now starting to fall together, and we start to get knowledge on how this is done. This is something that what you say. We expected it to be harder, but when you got to know the modem stack a little bit better, because all this is blocked down in the blobs, the binary blobs, because there's no open APIs for VoLTE or ISM, as it's called, Internet Messaging Service, or no, IP multimedia service, IP multimedia service. Yeah. And the problem there is there no open API. The only API that Android provides is way up in the Java stack. So what I had to do is basically run Android, trace all the binder calls between the Android side and the C++ side, take out the parts that really is needed, and then basically made my own HIDL definition on how to talk between the modem. And also, now that the Sailfish has gotten it, I also patched a Sailfish version to output every binder calls there, so I could get a more clean output signal from that, because that was easier. We can just patch the libg binder. But again, this will only support Qualcomm, and it probably needs some device-specific modifications for each device. I already know that VoLTE is a horrible standard with no one following the standard. So every carrier needs a different kind of config, and these configs are set in a read-only part of the system in vendor partition, and then copied over, and then it reads by the modem blobs, and this modem blobs is a black box, so you need to figure out, it doesn't output anything, so you need to set some environment variables to even know if it gets the right one, or if it's missing someone, or if it gets the wrong cell ID or something. So it's really, really fragile standard, but when you get it registered, it just works. You can call with the dialer like normally. There's no, I don't know why they
this is exactly this. I don't know why it works. That was something, because we have a VoLTE group where we're discussing with a few people from North America. We were inspecting already for the last year or so what we can do about this, and everybody got more and more frustrated because there was nothing moving. And then one day somebody comes up with the message, "Hey, I just received a VoLTE call because I know they switched off everything already, but somebody called me and it worked." And we said, "Nah, that cannot be. Yeah, so that must be some kind of fallback still or so." The first glimpse actually happened on my beloved Nexus 6P. The Nexus 6P started to receive calls but doesn't have audio during that calls when you're in a VoLTE only area, also North America. So when people started telling me this, I was thinking, well, we are kind of close, because something is happening on this device. We just don't understand it. And then suddenly other devices came in that also had that, like OnePlus 6T Pixel 2 suddenly were able to receive VoLTE calls. Somehow we got Marius interested now, and then he hacked it together in 2 weeks. Huh? So first 52 weeks of question mark, then 2 weeks of Marius, and it starts to work. Yeah? So great, actually. Thank you very much, because that will be the only option for North America users to continue enjoying Ubuntu Touch in the next years, because there is everything being turned off now. What's not VoLTE, what's not 4G.
Right. And one of the problems that also comes up is that it's not only North America, but I think India also have shut down.
And India, yeah.
Yeah, and then it seems like more and more countries are doing it, and because this is something that won't take 2 weeks. Like I just hacked together a CLI script that you had to run manually, and it probably won't work on your device. So it will take a while to get this out, but it is a start. We start to understand what's going on, and everything starts as long as you have that little seed. You can grow a plant of it, but without that seed, we couldn't do anything. But now we have a starting point, and we know where to go. So, yeah.
Great work.
Absolutely amazing. So,
the thing is that when I get to set up to something, I've been working day and night on this because I don't know, it's so fun. It's so fun to look into these black boxes and just hack on. And when you get it to work, that rush you get,
Yes.
it's better than drugs.
but you know this philosophical thing that when you stare too long into the dark void will start staring at you. Yeah. So
Right.
don't get lost in the black boxes. Yeah, that's really important. Always take some always take some nutrition with you, and then enjoy the ride for an evening. But also close the black box again. Who knows what's behind those doors, especially in Qualcomm.
Yeah, the thing also that I had to mention, this is only for Qualcomm, and this has to be done completely new for MediaTek devices like
Also,
Vodafone.
only Halium 9 or greater are eligible, because we won't backport these to Halium 7.1 or below.
Yes, and we have
Simply
people,
too much effort.
we have people working on VoLTE on MediaTek devices like Vodafone. I will stick my head together with
We
him.
should see actually now with that results that we have here, we should see what we can do about MediaTek, because Vodafone is now, if you combine all the Vodafones together, they actually have overtaken the Nexus 5 in the device stats. That's also some fact. So because of the availability as a pre-installed device, it is just very attractive. So
Yeah.
all right. So 2 small ones still coming. Then we have to switch to questions because time is running. I can see it already. Also for the Fairphone 4, as I mentioned, it's a 5G device. I'm trying to actually get Ophono to support 5G indication and also selection. And I'm fighting a little bit with understanding what upstream does. But thanks to the nice guys from Sailfish OS, there is support, and hopefully somebody can guide me through the thousands of lines of Ophono and plugins to understand where I have to put the 4 additional lines that are needed to get the new code for the NR technology, new radio. Imagine or believe it or not, in 5G, in free GPP terms, in the standardization gremium, 5G is called NR, new radio. Oh, what a nice surprise. So, we will also prepare 5G support. We don't have so many phones that have it, but still there are a few coming now. And it should not be too much work because it doesn't change much on our side. It's just about indication and selection. Yeah, Alfred.
Yes. So the last laboratory experiment is actually something that I've been working on over the last 2 weeks, and that is a Qt scene graph plugin, similar to what Sailfish OS has. So the scene graph plugin, basically what Qt does, Qt and QML, is it puts elements, items that you put on the screen in a certain tree, right? And then it goes through them and then just displays that. That's a scene graph. In simple terms, very simple terms here. So the Qt plugin mechanism actually allows vendors to improve the performance and other things of the usage of Qt through a plugin. And I've been working on one. It's put under the Halium umbrella. So it's actually available in the Halium GitHub as the QSG context plugin. And what it does is it allows to put pixels on the GPU a little bit faster, does color correction on the GPU using shaders, and it also tweaks the animation behavior of, for example, when you scroll through the list of applications in the shell. So what Qt usually does is, and it animates the scroll behavior very much based on the VSync, on the synchronization of the screen. But when it misses 2 frames, it actually falls back to a slower mode, and you can notice it looking slower than it actually is. So I've tweaked that so that the behavior of the shell looks way nicer under very high GPU pressure, when the GPU is like very maxed out and doing a lot of work at the moment. You can still feel the icons loading faster, the animation working better, and it's something that I would like to propose to other Halium-based operating systems too. If they're willing to use it, they're more than welcome to join the project. It is already a Halium project, so just get in touch with me if you're interested. If you're from some other Halium-based operating system project, then please make sure to just ping me on Telegram, basically, or Twitter even, so that we can work this out. And I do think, because of the way that we do it, it's a little bit nicer than the Qt scene graph plugin from Sailfish OS. Just a tiny little bit. I don't want to start a fight, but I do think we have some benefits here compared to their solution. So it's a little project that I've been working on the side, and I hope that we can include it in Lomiri and in Ubuntu Touch itself very soon. Right.
Super. So, time to thank our sponsors. Already a few minutes late, but we will do it. So, where is my sponsors button? We have to press this one here. Oh, thanks, sponsors. Smooth, Wallapine64 as our premium sponsors. And you will find all the other sponsors, if you like to know who is sponsoring us, on ubibots.com/sponsors. And our options for donating to us, which hopefully will happen if you got interested. You go to ubibots.com/donate and then put in some small or even bigger money if you like. And that's in a quick review. Also thanks to our patrons, of course, which I was again too lazy to pull all the list. But I promise, as usual, for the next time we will have the current list of patrons to shout them out, to give them a shout out, and then hopefully we'll not forget it next time. So there is a ton of questions, and it looks really, really much text. So we will try to shorten it down a bit because people elaborated a lot on their questions this week. Let's start. Mr. T10001. There are 81 devices on the devices list. However, a lot of those devices are not fully functional as phones due no sound, no text, Wi-Fi, and so on and so on. Surely to make them as feasible devices, they should have core functions that work or be removed from the installer until these functions work. Well, actually not a question, it's more like a statement. Yes, and we have already prepared a document with new porting guidelines, or we didn't have really old porting guidelines, but what we want to do is to a little bit more tighten the quality on the ports, which means that we can have a port built on our infrastructure and supported by the installer, or we can just have it built on our infrastructure but not being in the installer for general use because we don't think it's ready, or we don't even have that. So for the porters, it will mean that they have to fix outstanding bugs and long-standing problems with their ports. And we also have to decide which devices will go into 24, which devices we continue to support, because yes, we cannot maintain so many devices. It's too much for the core team, and for the porters, it will mean more work for sure, but also more satisfaction, hopefully, to get the last, I don't know how many % done on their devices. And we can help, of course, with those problems. But we cannot accept that we continue to ship half-baked ports. For example, I get a lot of automated mails from the installer when people cannot install their device. And sometimes I think it's just a problem of the installer script that was not tested very well. So not all the combinations of things like delete, don't delete system partition, delete user data, don't delete it, start from fastboot, start from ADB, start from here and there, from running Android, unlock the phone and so on. There are a lot of combinations in the installer, and some of them just lead to bricked phones. And we cannot accept this, because every user that cannot install 2 or 3 times, they will just go away, because I cannot install it with this wonderful installer. Why should I bother? So losing people at the installer is a big problem for us, and we need to make the overall quality better, especially for first-time users with installer. And so yeah, a few devices will probably leave us at least by the end of the year, when we have time to clean up. Yeah, sure.
I would like to say something in the same vein, and that is, for many porters, it is nothing more than a little challenge, a little fun side project, and that is fine. That is totally a fair argument. But when there's the name of a community stamped on it, then we have certain priorities, and those priorities are quality in the form of documentation that you need to follow, documentation that you need to implement, or things that need to be working out of the box on the ports. So it is fair for others to just do it as a fun side project, but please keep in mind to port responsibly, so to say. If there's name of a different entity stamped on it, like UbiPorts, then please make sure to not drag the quality expectations down, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Again,
Yeah,
Mr. T.
I think it's a good point to actually have some quality requirements before it enters the installer, and probably also have a different section for quote unquote hacky ports, and then have more of a clean. This is the quality ports, I would say. Oh, actually, I just got a ping that Alexander is actually working on that. So
Yes.
never mind. I'm too slow.
Alexander is actually very close with the LineageOS community, and he totally convinced me with their standards, what they actually have listed there. And also LineageOS doesn't accept every port. They expect an initial state and then also continuous maintenance, or the device will just leave, at least on the next Android version probably. And it's necessary. It's just basically everybody can support their own port. You can even set up your own system image server. That's also something we can document. We can say in the future, okay, if someone doesn't want to comply with our rules, or they are too strict for them, there is no blockage for that. Also, the installer could support multiple system image servers. That's not a big problem. But you need to know that you're then not installing an official supported port by UbiPorts. You're installing then somebody else's supported port in whatever way. Also, thanks, Mr. T110,001, to mention that the documentation could be clearer. Yes, we know documentation is a big pain sometimes. Better troubleshooting guide, all of that is fine. We just need people who are writing this documentation. So again, we cannot call this more than often. If you're inclined to technical writing and not so much into developing stuff, why not just come to our site, try to understand the documentation, what can be improved, and verify if it's actually up to date, help it to get better structured and into better shape. A good documentation is like a good code. It needs constant maintenance. It needs constant updating. And we just lack a lot of technical writers. Because if you think about it, if you have now the core developers plus community, let's say there are approximately 15 to 20 people continuously changing code. For a team of that size, you normally need already 2 to 3 full-time tech writers. that go with that process, maybe even 4 full-time tech writers. That's a whopping 160 hours per week that you could waste on writing. So, yeah, we know. Josue, camera applications. Yes, he is basically asking if our camera application, camera app can be dropped in favor of the Megapixels app, that I don't know actually, because of better post-processing options. Well, I don't know. Somebody has to look into this.
But the problem is, though, we do it with. I mean, sure, we could, but then we could. I mean, putting it into the logical extreme here, we could drop the whole project altogether and just go home and don't work on Ubuntu Touch anymore anyway. If we go that route, just use Android, right? So, I mean, yeah, sure, there are certain things, but is the Megapixels app integrating itself properly into the OS? Does it use? I'm pretty sure it uses GTK, if I'm not mistaken here.
I don't think it's mainland specific though. It's not.
That's the problem, yes, because on Android devices we specifically need certain components in the system, in Halium, etc., that make use that you can actually make use of the camera properly. It's not a standard Video for Linux 2 interface that you usually. I mean, it is, but then you have those services on top that actually talk to it properly, and you connect to the service rather than the lower level Video for Linux device, right?
And also, one of the things that to mention here is that our camera app were heard long before Megapixel, so why couldn't Megapixel be dropped?
Exactly right. Yeah, because I mean, we see this with a lot of projects and others coming along now, that they expect us to drop things that have been around for years now, rather than what they are working on. And I mean, I've nothing against other projects here, but it leaves a little bit of worrying around, well, can't Ubuntu Touch just, I mean, the expectancy that Ubuntu Touch needs to drop everything, right? That we need to drop everything and work with others more closely. Because the problem is, Ophono and other components have been around for a very long time. The camera app has been around for a very long time. And I mean, if they cannot make use of it, and we can't make use of theirs properly, right? Then I don't see a lot of benefits here working together just for the sake of working together. It needs to be something, it needs to fit into the whole picture, right?
And also, one of the things to mention is that a lot of the Ubuntu Touch component has been daily driver ready for a long time. They are used daily by many people. They are battle tested. They have integrated testing infrastructure. There's not, like, of course, there is the app itself, but then there's a lot of stuff around it, like translations, there is testing, there is autopilot, there is infrastructure to do it, there is API calls, there is other applications integrating with it. So even though it's a camera app, it does a lot more than just being a camera app. And this is also something that even though there's a new app coming along, sure, we can try it out, but the thing is that it needs to grow, it needs to mature it before it can enter, because our OS is expected to work as a daily driver. And I think that that's something that a lot of people are not thinking about, because sure, you can install Lomeri on Debian, but it's not daily driver ready. You can install Droidian, and it's not daily driver ready, right? So there is a level of quality that Ubuntu has just because it has been around for so long.
Yes,
sure, there is good to often drop code, sure, but we drop code when it's ready, right?
I mean, a small example that I just want to drop here, and I just remember that when we got our second son, we called the ambulance with an Ubuntu Touch phone, and that is just something that I have to rely on. So emergency calls and important calls is something, for example, that needs to be rock solid. I'm not going to compromise on that. If a daily driver cannot do this, it's not a daily driver. Yeah? So in that moment, when we knew we need an ambulance, you just pull the Ubuntu Touch phone, you call the ambulance, it works. It's such a satisfying and very, relieving feeling to know that you can rely on this thing. Yeah? And in general, it does. It doesn't let you down. There is no, oh, wait a second, I have the wrong thing here. I have to play with this now. You can just grab this phone and use it as a phone. That's still something that's an achievement. Yeah.
I have to clarify something. When I say daily driver ready, I basically mean grammar ready. You can give it to someone else that's not tech savvy, and it works. Sure, something can be driver ready for us that is deep into Linux. Sure, I use a lot of things that are not, quote unquote, what I would call daily driver ready. But with daily driver ready, I mean something you can give to your grandma and it doesn't upgrade. It doesn't break when you upgrade, because that's a big problem with app-based distributions.
Yeah.
On phones.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, it's even better if the camera app is very simple, but just works. Then we have a lot of features that need a lot of maintenance in the end. Yeah? If we find a maintainer who can do this, who can actually port everything into Qt and our Qt Ubuntu camera layer and all what we have below, well, then fine. Yeah? I'm not against the second camera app or a replacement, but currently I don't think that's a priority that we can have in the core team.
And also because of the fact that, for example, on the Pixel 3a again, there are a lot of post-processing things running in the Android side already. So it is basically responsible for bringing all those high-quality imagery features into the mix rather than the application. So they're doing it at, in my opinion, the right level, at the right layer, because the camera app itself should not focus on processing that much, because then you have duplication all around the place for every camera-based application.
That's the problem, yeah. It needs to be on a lower level, because if you have a small app that wants to take pictures, like for example, you could have in theory teleports taking a picture directly, not importing that from camera. Of course, we do it like this because that's the way how Ubuntu Touch works and Content Hub and everything. But it could also have its own camera. But then this would be not the same as the main camera app. And also in the Qt Ubuntu camera, when I was looking for the multi-camera support, I again found all these constants where we could have red eye, night vision, all of that stuff that Android supports already, by just requesting the right mode for the Android camera. So a lot of those things that we have, we're not leveraging all the features of the Android camera now, because the camera app doesn't request them, but they are there. Yeah? HDR mode and all of that thing. Yeah?
One thing I think we're also forgetting to answer is that devices are different. They have different sensors. They have different camera modules. They have different hardware stack. And every device needs their own set of post-processing, because there's a different sensor. There's a different way it needs to be processed. There's one sensor might be a lot darker, so it need to lighten it up, and one device with a different sensor might actually need to be brightened down or darkened. So there's a lot of individuality that needs to happen, and if the camera app would do it, we will have a lot of if Pixel 3a do this, if that. So yeah, a camera app shouldn't do any other post-processing than maybe changing the hue manually or something like that. But that, again, that should be a task for our editor, image editor.
Okay, let's hold it there. Next question. How has Dalton's departure from the team affected the rate of development? Has it slowed down the change from Ubuntu 16 base? My impression is that progress has slowed, and for a team that was already lacking in personnel, that's a serious problem. Guys, I leave it up to you a little bit. What do you think, Marius? You were always a partner in crime with Dalton. You probably can answer that best. And also maybe Alfred, if you want to say something about that.
Sure. I mean, I can start. I can start with saying that of course it had a dip in performance in the beginning because stuff was new and it wasn't as smooth. But then again, we picked pretty fast up, and now we are going faster than ever. I think both Xenial and Focal are moving pretty fast. We have a lot of stuff going on, a lot of community members come in, a lot of actual company coming in and helping out. So yeah, there. Of course, we would wish to have Dalton here forever and ever, but yeah, this is also a thing we have been working on for a long time, to not have this bus factor. If someone departs, we don't go offline, right? So I think it has been handled really well, but of course we want. If you are listening, Dalton, we want you back.
Yes, my heart is aching.
Yeah, where is my heart sign? Where's my camera? Dalton, we love you.
Other than our hearts, other than the hearts, everything else is fine. Our heart is broken forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Marius, there is one thing about all the things that you told us about before about Volte. This is one of the facts that Dalton needs to have resolved as a North American. He needs Volte calls on Ubuntu Touch, then he can come back. So let's be the biggest motivation for us to get it done. Volte for Dalton, and we go into the battle.
Hashtag Volte for Dalton.
Yes. Okay, well, Dalton, if you ever listen to this, I don't know, and I, of course, can ping you with the link of this episode. There, you're still in our minds. An emotional moment. So, let's quickly rush about the rest, because I can see there are a few things that are answered very quickly. Can we have a guide to remove all Waydroid and install it completely with GApps? Please ask in the Waydroid Telegram group. It's not officially supported by uReports. Yes, there is a team of people doing Waydroid, and you please ask them about this. Getting isolated by concrete jungle on an empty roads, night in the city, not having Uber, move it only works. Okay, complain, app's not there. Bank app is so frustrating. Well, develop more apps for us. Can we have an image background in teleports? Make a feature request, please, on the gitlab.com/uReport/core app something teleports. Thanks, 1000 topics. Oh no, we are not finished with him.
No.
There is more. A guide of how to port GTK apps, please. Who is writing the guide? Here we are again.
Well, 1604 not so much, with Focal probably more so, but I mean, porting, it's just recompiling and building it similarly to how I do it with QEMU and other things in Pocket VMs. So just build the thing and be done with it, right? Just the compilation. Yeah.
He's asking, porting them shouldn't be a nightmare, right? Well, it's still a nightmare because Content Hub, Clipboard, notifications, camera, all of the things that integrate with the device, the GTK app will not be able to use just so. I'm just saying. It's nice to run on its own, but if it will interact with other parts of the operating system, we shall see.
I'm not saying. I also need to mention that all these services are using dbus services. So yeah, it is possible, but right now it probably needs a little bit more bootstrapping since GTK4 is really new, and GTK app hasn't been mobile friendly at all for a long time. It's only now that it comes in, so that's why it needs some bootstrapping to actually work. But then again, we are a Qt shop, as we said, so we are focusing more on the Qt side of things because that's where our expertise is, that's where our stack is, and what we know best. So we probably need some help from outside, from someone that knows more about GTK4.
And also, there's something to be said about there is no Linux, right? Linux is a kernel, but there are multiple platforms based on Linux. So we have Ubuntu Touch based on Linux. We have GNOME Shell based on Linux, or Fosh based on Linux, whatever. Just because it can run the same binaries doesn't mean it's actually the same operating system. So there is, in my opinion, there is no Linux. Linux does not exist, right?
Okay, this Q&A will now extend to 1 more hour where we discuss the foundation of Linux and new Linux. And new is not, Stop it here, please. I don't understand actually the last thing with the screen buttons. Maybe we can have a joypad layout on the keyboard because buttons like in Libertine are so small. Well, you're not using Libertine as it should be. You should use it on a big screen. Don't use Libertine apps with tiny, tiny fonts and stuff on your phone screen. How are you going to operate it? Not with the clumsy fingers. Not even with a joypad on your keyboard.
But also,
But
PRs
also-
is welcome.
Yeah.
Of course. Different keyboards are possible.
The reason why we are saying this is because we are already a small team, and we need to focus on continue the existing things that we have instead of bringing in all these new things that comes up. Of course, we would love to have everything. We'd love to have everything from GTK to Windows apps working, for that matter. But it's the lack of time and resource to actually do it. Like in theory, you could run Vine apps on Ubuntu Touch, but it needs to work.
I want to have Maui.net apps, please, because then I can combine my profession with my free time. Wonderful, all wonderful ideas. Let's PR them.
iOS apps, here we come.
So we're a little bit over time, but I think we can take at least a few from the last two people here. There is one from P. Singh. He's asking actually about the Pages feature, which is actually not Pages, but Scopes, and it was removed. Yes. Is there a reason that this Pages feature was no longer maintained by the community in favor of the usual app grid system? Oof, yes. Let's remember. We had some canned responses on why we are removing scopes for some time, but then people finally accepted it. Yeah, maintainability, I would say. That darn maintainability.
And also, the code quality was poor. The API quality was poor. It was hard to integrate into the system. It lacked a lot of the scope features, and it was a bit half-ass.
Yeah. We could have the new app drawer now for our Lumiere shell and so on. So unfortunately, sometimes we have to drop things, and yeah, we had a lot of discussion about it when we did it, but they won't come back. Is there a way to try out Ubuntu Touch on my laptop computer via virtual machine or some other way? Just to get a feel of it before installing it on a device. Where is our
PDK.
device emulator? PDK.
Yay! We have the PDK, exactly. So
But
it is.
PDK is.
Yeah?
Yeah?
Mark?
No, go ahead.
So the PDK is a virtual machine based on Ubuntu 20 or Ubuntu Touch based on 2004. So you can have a little sneak peek into what it looks like with using a keyboard and mouse, but the usability is completely different if you don't, if you don't have direct input via a touch screen or something like that. So it might differ from, it might not give the experience that you're expecting, but if you're into what it looks like from an outsider's perspective, just install the PDK, fetch a recent virtual machine image, and play around with it. And it works on Linux and on macOS.
Yeah, and I need to say one of my classic how do I explain stuff. It's like the PDK is like eating the spaghetti uncooked and raw. Technically, it's the same thing, but it's not that good. While having it on a real device is like having a full spaghetti and meatballs and everything.
Yay! And we
You have it cooked.
Ubuntu Touch like our meatballs.
We do like our meatballs, and that's the thing.
Hungry.
Having Ubuntu Touch on a device is completely different, and you have the little extra, which is the meatballs. While using the PDK, of course, it is the same type of thing, but it's in a completely different form, and it's unfinished.
Yeah.
I would recommend to buy a Nexus 5 if you can get hold of it. It's very cheap on the aftermarket now, and it gives you, while being old, it's still a performant device. It gives you the impression, of course, newer devices are much faster, and some of the things are a little bit clumsy on the small screen, but the Nexus 5 is a good reference design for the usability of Ubuntu Touch, let's say, yeah, of all that kind of features that it has.
But don't forget, it might not receive the 2004 upgrade as early as other devices. So
That's true. Yeah.
who knows, right?
Who knows?
I will probably more get for a Pixel 3a. At this point, these are selling secondhand pretty cheap too.
Yeah. There is no risk involved with a Pixel 3a. That's true. More like spaghetti
Or
cola.
if you want to go full on the top with conversions and everything, I think maybe the Fairphone or the Shift phone is up there. Or if you want a pre-installed one, you can go for the Wallet phone.
So, quick answer to that. Yes, the Nexus 5 could get the 24 update if we finally manage to get its darn kernel built correctly on the Lineage OS 16 side. I have...
There is a possibility, but we're not saying it will, right?
Yes. It could. Yeah, it could. It's perfectly fine to say it could. But I was not successful building it for 32-bit Halium 9, so let's see. Also, we will see how much kernel patches we need for that darn system D thingy. But okay, that's another story. So, what tablets will get 2004? We're still not finished with 24 questions. What tablets do we have?
ThinkPad.
JankPad, probably, yeah. I'm working with that and on it, so I definitely would like to see 2004 on that one. Problem is you can't get it easily nowadays, right? Since the shop closed and many people are, well, sometimes people are selling it secondhand, right? They're selling it on Telegram channels and whatnot. So you could theoretically get it. But other than that, I don't think we have many options for tablets right now, other than what's it again? The M10, the
old one.
The new one, M10. You mean the Lenovo M10 thingy?
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
That one, yes. And the problem is with the old tablets, which we had from BQ, that I think the kernel version is not that bad, but we don't have a device tree to build it, and I don't think we will have easily a 2004 on a non-Halium 9 device. I mean, this is a combination that doesn't necessarily needs to be like this, but a few features we will probably require to be on that level, just saying.
But I have to mention, there is a new tablet coming out that I can't talk about, but it is coming out. And but yeah.
What happened to PineTap? Now we're in a tablets discussion. Well, that is a good question. I think the numbers, well, how much are available of those, are very small still.
Yeah, it's also what should I say, unfinished, both a bit hardware-wise and software-wise.
As we lost Dalton, we also lost Pine porting quite much. That's true. It was his special skill in some way. So, what about the Nexus 7? Oh gosh, these do still exist? Are they still working?
What?
Doesn't matter.
Last question, because we are really well over time. This is basically the same what we answered before already. The move into focal base on the biggest steps forward, huge achievement and so on. Thank you. Requirements for devices proven to be stable, highest score of compatibility with UT, portal motivation. Yes, those guidelines will come, as we said before. Well, that was all the questions. We rushed it a bit. So, any famous last words?
The cat has some.
Yes, there is a hungry cat running around. It was also marinara meatballs probably now. Oh, where are my spaghetti? Damn.
And also I have this. Come here.
Where's the cat?
Come here.
Yeah, here's the cat. No, it's a dog.
That's not a cat. That's not a cat.
It's not a cat, it's a dogs.
The dogs.
It's a station dog. Oh my god. That's an insider. Okay. Can we get Fuse in the RootFS? Oh, Fuse team. You're asking a question about Fuse. I didn't see this coming. I don't know. Maybe.
It's not
Yeah,
already.
here in Stockholm.
Yeah. Do
I
it.
love saying that. I love saying that. PR is broken.
Oh my.
That'll be my response to everything. It's my girlfriend asked me to make dinner. It's like PR is welcome.
Oh, I see the plates flying around already. Oh, should we take one more? That is really a basic question because I love basic questions. Are probably hardware firmware blobs the biggest roadblock for device support? Or what's the biggest challenge?
Sometimes,
Yes.
most of the time, yeah.
Most of the both LTE has proven me angry at that.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Like-
because it's sold as software plus hardware. It's not a separate combination of things.
It's like trying to make soft spaghetti without water.
Yeah.
Yeah. This episode is going to go down in history as the spaghetti episode.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking spaghetti code, we're writing spaghetti code, we are even cooking spaghetti code. So, okay, guys, I think it's a good ending before we have more mad ideas. By the way, there was one thing that I forgot before as we talk about keyboards. Stay tuned in some distant future. There might be also a replacement of our wonderful keyboard component. That's also a laboratory experiment by Rodney, playing with mallet and all that stuff. We could expect to get keyboard support improved in the future. Good vibes. That's a good last famous word that I like. Thanks, everyone. As usual, stay tuned. Keep testing our OTA RCs, and we'll let you know when there's the next one. Okay. Have a good time. See you soon.
And don't ping me about Volt LTE yet.
Don't ping about Walter. Yeah, exactly. It's not ready yet. We will tell you. Don't call us. We call you. Thank you all. Thanks, community. See you next time. Have a good evening. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.